Okay, it's about 6-ish. So we'll call the meeting to order. Roll call
Bob Wilkerson,
here.
Jeff Perry,
Here.
Terry Arcier. He was online. Brad Crawford, has not seen him yet. Mike Hill.
Here,
And
zooming in.
Okay, so I'll take a little bit of chair's privilege and to welcome Will and Mike to the Planning Advisory Commission. Will's been here before, and Mike, welcome.
Thank you.
And with that, we're going to go to the next item, the approval of the meeting summary from December 18th. So has everyone had a chance to review the minutes and have any revisions? Did you get anything from anybody? Okay, well, I guess with that said, we'll go to the.
We're talking about these minutes.
The December, we have to approve the December 18th minutes.
I'll make a motion. I reviewed the minutes of the December 18th meeting. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as recorded.
Okay, so who wants to be the seconder? Mike?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay, so Mike seconds it, okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, and motion passes. And do we have any changes to our agenda? From anybody?
That information.
All right. Does anyone have any conflicts of interest?
Nope.
I do not.
Okay, hearing none, move on. Our next meeting will be February 26th. Anyone have any issues with that?
Nope.
Hearing none,
I have a conflict, but I'll figure that out.
It is a Monday.
It's,
it'll be the fourth Monday, the 26th.
I have a standing fourth Monday meeting, so I'll figure it out.
well, you can split personality in two places at once.
Talk to Marilyn.
I see.
This one is just due to the holiday.
So does anybody have any updates? Staff?
Yes, just a couple. So I just wanted to let you know that the Board of County Commissioners will be having a work session on the short-term vacation rental subject. So the survey results from that, the general themes that have come out of that. There's going to be discussion on that and some recommendations, and that's going to be on February 6th and should be at 9 a.m. It's going to be Zoom only for the public because they don't typically take comment during work sessions. So just in case you guys are interested in getting a look at that before you take it as well. So and then our February meeting, so I'm having a meeting with the consultant or with SCJ on this Wednesday, and we should be discussing that for February meeting and confirming that. And then one thing I just wanted to put out there is that our public participation plan talks about some pop-up, I don't know if you call them workshops, but pop-up kind of public pop-ups for information for the public in different areas of the county. And we're talking about Hoodsport and Union, and the consultant just wanted me to put it out there that we may need some help from you guys with maybe staffing those pop-ups a day here or there during the process. So I'll have more information on it as we go along, but it would just be basically we would find a place where we'd be allowed to set up a table or something and information, possibly a survey that we're putting out to the county on a particular subject at the time, maybe the visioning for the comprehensive plan. But we may need some help from PAC members to staff that once in a while, because there's only one of me, so. But I'll bring more information on that. Just wanted to give you a heads up that I may come back as an ask for that
So this will be like a Belfair, Shelton or something?
I think that mainly the areas would be Hoodsport, Union, Allen, because we're really looking at, the sub area and, planning in Allen about, if that needs to be relooked at and, possible ideas for Hoodsport and Union, at least to do with the zoning and if there's appropriate zoning for those areas and just kind of get more public input from those areas as well.
Okay. Does anyone?
Purpose of these being outreach, public information.
Yes. It's to gather, public, opinion.
I may suggest for Hoodsport, you have it at the Timberland North Mason Library.
That's a good idea. I'll put that down to mention to her.
Okay, anything else?
Nothing else from staff.
All right.
I'll volunteer to help you if I can get a copy of the schedule early.
Okay. Thank you, Terry.
All right, other business, if any. All right, no other business. And see, public comment and you're the public and you want to comment. No? Okay. With that, we go to the public hearing and the continuation of our discussion on the financing plan for capital facilities. So Brad and Jeff, did you guys get your questions answered?
Go ahead, Brad, first. Fine.
I did to a point, but well, I mean, I didn't really get the information I was hoping for. And there was something that was told not to, that couldn't be gotten really. But I voiced my concern that I didn't want, I felt it was giving a blank check. I was assured by, did speak with Don Dickinson, whatever his first name, I forget his first name there, it was Don, but Dickinson, Mr. Dickinson for the public water systems, and I didn't get a chance for the buildings and public and trails and such. And
We're having difficulty hearing you.
yeah, hold on, because I'm getting my notes.
Ah,
I guess it was last Wednesday, well, Monday that I'd left an email. And last Wednesday when I talked with Loretta, she gave me the names of John Taylor for the trails and boat docks and such. Wasn't able to get in touch with him, and Mark Neary for the buildings. So I guess I'll not getting the information, I won't hold it up, but I was assured by Loretta that Ed Dickinson that just because they asked for the money, they didn't get it all and would not give it back if they didn't spend it all. So taking them at their word, if I can be assured of that, then I guess as it would be very difficult for them to get the numbers. What the heck, I guess I was assured that that's the way they've always done it. So I guess I've done my due diligence, and if the commissioners are going to accept those numbers from them, then no reason I can't say, okay, I'll let them do it. Let them do it the way they've always done it.
so you're not gonna pursue this any further then?
Probably not.
Okay.
It ain't worth it, and it's probably okay. I'll trust the staff. When Loretta told me that I was worried that, as so often I hear of, people put in budget numbers as a wish list and not expecting to get it. But I hope they will not. I hope they will have more oversight for these exorbitant high bills, exorbitant in my opinion, that they have to actually get that money. These are just budgeted items, budgeted numbers. And if they then put in like a not to exceed, so long as they don't get, they have to put in special detailed proposals so that they will try not to spend all that money and then consequently not get it. So yes, given
Okay.
that,
All right.
I guess I'm satisfied. We'll see if it's true as the things get billed.
Okay, well, thank you, Brad. Jeff, now your turn.
Thank you. I got, feedback on it, did it answer to where I wanted to be? No, but I also understand that in looking at what the Department of Commerce has for planning for urban growth areas and planning for capital facilities and planning for those types of things, and it's been a complaint I've had for the last 20-some years with the county, is that we don't have good presentation, good numbers. When I say good numbers, we have numbers. And so I don't want to make it sound like they're bad numbers, but it's kind of like numbers put on the wall, and yeah, some of them are targets to get to or from. But it doesn't really meet the spirit of, like, when you look at the WACs that govern capital facilities elements, and doesn't get to the ability to one, plan for the future, and two, to let the public know what's coming for the future. The one point that we raised last meeting, that I raised last meeting, was with the parks area, where in the parks and trails, it didn't indicate any budget towards the Belfair UGA. And the reason I brought that up is that in the Belfair EIS, a ways down, and I forwarded on to staff, that it talks about, for the level of service, for the population you're trying to allocate to the urban growth area, these are the things, the targets you're supposed to shoot for. Or when I say, they're targets, not necessarily hit them right on, but for example, in the Belfair EIS, there was the statement that for their third option, they had, I think, 3 different alternatives. On their third alternative, which is kind of close to what they picked, it's a little bit of a hybrid from it. They were looking at bringing in 95 acres. Well, I got feedback from staff and what have you that, it hasn't happened, we don't have the funds, and I'm aware of that. I'm not saying really we have to do it, but what I'm really saying is we need to reconcile the plan with what level of service we're gonna provide. Now, it's 95 acres isn't really, either we can't afford it or can't factor it in, then we need to adjust our level of service and have some kind of meeting of the minds, because currently we're shooting for one number and for level of service, and we're not achieving it. And so because there was no money set aside or allocated towards that, any acreage in the Belfair UGA, to me, it sends the wrong message about trying to plan when you're trying to do these environmental impact statements and what have you.
Was there any indication in out years, in a fiscal year 29, 30 or something like that?
At least not in the 6. And we haven't done, so we've done the comprehensive plan of 2016-17 through 36, but it wasn't in there, but it wasn't identified. It's something that came up in 2020. Actually came up in early 2021 when it was discussed in the PAC meeting and some of the other meetings. But but it never made it to anybody's report. It's like, it's in there, but it's like, not
So it's
my.
a wish list item with no,
Right. I don't have I'm not married to whether you put a park or not put a park or the issue is, the public needs to know if we're gonna say this and do this, let's do it. If we're not, or we run into, or we evaluate it along the way and say, oops, this is too much. Or what, either too much acreage or too much property or too much money. Then we need to make adjustments. I'm acutely aware of the county's budget, once I looked into it further, that, it's a little over 800,000 for the whole county, for all the parks. That's basically M and O. And 2/3 of that is salary, and I understand that. And about 100K of it is, electricity, garbage, and water. So I understand. The thing that caught my attention was there was less than like $10,000 or $12,000 for repairs for the whole year, for the whole county. That seemed a little tight. Not saying that it isn't, that's all there is. We're just saying that,
what you're saying is you don't believe the numbers that.
well,
You're skeptical of the realistic.
yeah, in other words, I'm sure that there's gotta be more than that with all. And I realize that, you can get into labor and get into different things and, fixing things, what have you. Going back to the capital facilities plan, if you're planning the way the WAC's laid out and reassessing as you go through time, and you're planning away the Department of Commerce's document for capital facilities with urban growth areas, if you're I'm not after perfection in any way, shape, or form. I'm just saying, let's at least get it in the ballpark. Plus or minus 20% or something, something that gets it in the ballpark. You should be more, you're supposed to be factoring in like end of life product. You have tables, you have, docks, you have, ramps and things like this. Laboratories, what have you, and all these things where. And this county's never really done a good job in that area, in my opinion. And I'm not after trying to, make it perfect, but let's try to get this closer to, so people understand what's coming, so we can see what's going on. So at least in the parks, yes, things were answered. I don't disagree with any of the comments that were given to me. But the bottom line is that somewhere here, we have to start planning. Got facilities, sounds
I
like.
do have a comment.
Yeah.
I'm Diane Soren,
Yes.
Civil Services Manager, and Parks is one of the departments under me. Unfortunately, Mark Neary, our administrator, is out of town, so he couldn't be here, but on our REIT to our real estate excise tax, that also can be used for parks. So we do budget every year $1 million for capital improvements. Not that it's always spent, but it's $1 million we have found doesn't go very far when you're trying to develop a park, but we do also have in there 100K for repairs and then 50K for equipment. So we have relied on that fund to help get, yes, Jeff's right. Our current expense parks budget is very, very lean. Our staff is very, very lean. I have 4 staff people, 1 more half time in the office just for day-to-day operations that maintain our 20 county parks. So yes, it's very lean. We just keep it mowed and cleaned and the garbage picked up. It's like all we do. But we do use the REIT too for those projects and we've updated like some restrooms and whatnot, made them ADA accessible. And our goal, ultimately we'd like to put a multi-purpose field up at the Sand Hill, expand that part. But when we went out and hired a consultant, that price tag was $5.5 million. We found there was about $800,000 of grant money available. We were awarded $350,000. And we just couldn't come up with the, basically $5 million. But we do have the REIT 2 that does sit there and helps. And the REIT 1 helps for capital facilities of other, not park projects, but other county buildings. So in addition to the current expense money.
Right, and I appreciate knowing that, and
Well, 50 grand in materials answers on one of your basic questions.
The biggest thing is just seeing these numbers get more into the presentation for to me, it's like you know, we're a small company, we're not like Pearson or anything like
Right.
that. But it seems like we should do something in between where we are and where I think, you know, what that is. And to me, it's like kind of an executive summary. Because I've looked at some of the executive summaries like for Shelton, like for the water system or for the sewer. And it's actually more detailed probably than we need. But it gives you an idea of how maybe to present, you know, so the public can see, okay, this is, you know, what we're allocating funds for. You know, what we're planning to do in the 6-year, you know, capital improvements type thing. So, so that was the issue on parks. I did go a little further into looking at a couple of things. One is, it looks like we figured out the numbers. So I appreciate that. It wasn't the 92, it was actually 29, not because the numbers are reversed, but just how things added up. And how they were added up. How do I say this? I have concerns in that when you look at the leading and statements about what we're thinking as far as growth for REIT going forward, that we haven't really looked at that correctly, because when I look at the plan, you know, the monthly report that's produced by the county for a number of the different funds. Like this, in 2023, we were on a 2-year average 30% lower in our REIT intake than we were in 2021. And I'm not saying that it's going to keep going like that, but what I'm really trying to say is we're factoring like it's going to grow at 3.5%, and right now we have the
actuals are different.
Right, and I understand it's a moving target, but I think the county needs to factor that in planning how we allocate. And I did not have time to go and say, okay, here's what they planned, this is what's gonna happen if you take 30% less. But you know where I'm trying to go.
You're just saying, what's going on?
Very, very well.
Can you explain? Yeah.
Right.
What, Terry?
Oh, I was talking to my husband. We're driving in the car.
Okay. Sorry. Carry on.
Okay,
So basically, you're looking for a warm fuzzy, and you're kind of fuzzy, but not exactly that warm.
I'm not warm, I'm fuzzy, but not warm.
Okay.
And again, I'll reiterate, I am not trying to make this perfect, but I would like to see us try to get some funds. You know, a better presentation, lack of a better word. In other words, we have like, if you look at the layouts of how we laid out, or how it was laid out in the appendix. We need to have a bigger picture more at the front end, and we're starting to now, looks like more. But really where all our income's coming and what our, you know, things, the projects we need to do. Better picture, because I see one conclusion, but when I look at it, I get a different conclusion. I'm concerned that even this year, based upon flow, we might be short. It probably won't be, because I don't know the particulars, but when you look at the report, it looks like we might be short.
Based on the information provided, and
Yeah.
you're drawing conclusions based on that information that may or may not be totally accurate, but that's what you're concluding.
Right, at least from what I'm seeing, it looks like, you know, like the next 2 years, we're gonna be short each year. Now, certain projects may not happen. And that we not, you know, that would bring it back into balance more. But,
Okay.
But, you know, like, then I start looking at the budget a little bit. Detail, in other words, I'm trying to look at this more than just saying, okay, here's a report put in front of me. Yeah, let's look at reports, look, you know, the experience I've had in this community, doing some planning with Alan there and things like this. And so, for example, you know, like the water systems, I understand where the county's been and what have you. But I run a small water system. Every 6 to 10 years, I gotta create a new water system plan. You know, it doesn't have to be as, you know, grandiose as the one I had to do, but it at least needs to get more to an executive summary of what do we have, what do we need, what's gonna be failing, you know, because, you know, I look at like a period code. So I look at the budget and you look at your regular M and O and you look at what you collect in water rates, and they're tight. But I see in their budget, and I'm sure this is because of grants or what have you that come in that they've been applying for. You know, there's like, when it's all said and done, about between 900,000 and $1 million in the account. Well, obviously, they're not getting that from rates. So something, you know, some grant or something's come through, but it's like, okay, so have we never, and maybe Loretta can answer this, have we never put the meters in for the grid code?
They're in.
Okay, so then, okay, here's my wide way. So when did they go in, like?
4 years ago.
Okay, then we're not updating the WFI for Department of Health correctly.
No, they're not being implemented because they still have some zero reads, some negative reads, some crazy reads. So we're sorting through all of that chaos right now to get that knocked off, Jeff.
Yeah, because
No.
like right now, like in the water usage for that system,
Right.
it moves around a lot.
Yep.
And I don't know if we have, 160 acre feet is our water right on there, or, I'm not asking the
Yeah,
answers.
no, I know, you're making the point.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I'm not trying to make this perfect. I'm just saying that we need to gradually move in these directions. I, as a, just a nonprofit, have to go through this. The county it shouldn't be that much more. The county to do it. I mean. So
you're trying to put more work on our poor county commissioners and
no, not the commission.
and staff.
Staff. But let me put it this way. If I, as a volunteer to the PAC, can in a day take it to Saturday and say, okay, this is Saturday, I'm gonna read and look at all the links I have and look at all the different things I have and say, okay, does this make sense? Well, I have to, honestly say I'm troubled at times, not because there's a problem, but because we need to get at it, on top of it. I mean, and Loretta knows me from TipCap, in other words, I propose that, let's take all the dirt roads and over the next 100 years, fix a half mile a year. And that will get rid of it in 100 years, all the dirt roads we have in the county, the county right away. So I'm just after the big picture, trying to get this. So if you're asking me, are we making progress? Yes, but oh boy, is it slow. And I think we could at least start with the front end, a better presentation and make, when we come down through the different entities, use the same funding and cost sources, meaning if you label grants, bonds, all these different things, do that across each segment. In other words, it's the building, whether it's parks, whether it's sewer, whether it's water, whether it's, whatever the facilities are. I did not get to anywhere close to the sheriff stuff.
Anywhere close to the what?
Sheriffs. The capital facilities related to the sheriff. I did not even get close, not by design, but just by time allowed. But so we need to start focusing, trying to achieve a little closer to what the WAC and that 113 page Department of Commerce document shows us doing it.
The last and best what?
The last 113 page document with the Department of Commerce that talks about how to work capital facilities, utilities, and all that with urban growth areas.
I hate to keep asking questions, but I want to ask the other remote members if they're having a difficulty understanding Jeff as I am all throughout. The acoustics in the commissioning chambers there. And I don't know how well you can understand me. But I could ask to stop and repeat
Well, hey,
about
Mike,
30% of the words, but I haven't done that. So
Mike,
I'm not,
have you had any difficulty hearing the conversation?
Yeah, the acoustics are a little difficult. I'm trying to follow the best I can, but like I can hear Brad really well, on from whatever audio, that he's generating. But I think it's the acoustics in the building.
Does the mic have a
Yes.
cord? It's all over here.
This is not the mic too.
Um,
Yeah, that's not much.
It's not even plugged in, that won't work.
The couple things help that I'm talking towards you this way,
That's right.
away from that way.
Okay, so you have to talk that way.
I'm sorry,
All right,
I'm talking the wrong way. I'm talking to the chair and other members, but sorry. Is that better?
Seems like it might be.
A
Yeah.
little bit.
A little bit. Okay.
the other thing we can do is move this table closer to the laptop, I suppose, All right.
Next meeting.
or just talk louder.
We'll talk louder. Anyway.
Or maybe, well, yeah. Yeah, it's,
Anyway, to sum it up, at least my position is that I'm not happy with what we got so far, but it's getting better. And I don't disagree with you, Brad, as far as the numbers on the building issues. It talks about in one of the planning documents from Department of Commerce that not only describing the different projects for a building, but also, the maintenance of it. In other words, things break, things degrade over time. And, I know that's a major step for everybody, but, eventually we need to get to that point. The other thing too is, the list of items for building one is the same list of items that was there in 2016. Which is kind of interesting. So.
Well, you must be an organized background.
No, I'm not necessarily that organized, but I have a tendency to retain data.
I knew a guy in the morning who was like that.
But so if you're asking me, and I gotta remember too, this is not the planning of the comprehensive plan, this is just the planning of the 6-year capital improvement projects. But that reminds me. In the capital improvements projects for the debt for welfare sewer. I haven't seen anything new come in related to the extension. In other words, we know we're gonna have some debt to pay off, right? The problem is I know where this is going, but
That's a sore subject, isn't it?
yeah, it is. But what I'm getting at is, when I say we, the county had constructed, an extension to the welfare sewer. And I seem to recall that, the county's portion at least was gonna be a couple million. And I would think that would show up somewhere. And it didn't show up as debt anywhere, so. Yeah, we showing debt for the other parts of the welfare sewer, so. I don't know, just lots of opportunity.
Is there anything else?
Oh, there is, but I think that's enough for everybody.
Okay,
I'm not pleased, but we're going in the right direction, but we gotta go a little bit more. We can do it, so. Anyway, that's my spiel.
okay, Will, do you wanna chime in?
I'll
with
take a
anything?
hack at it. Sure, I got a couple of questions. So one specific question, the stormwater management habitat improvement. We have 6.4 million for fiscal year 24. It's identified as a grant or a loan. Is that funding secured?
It is,
Thank you.
yes.
And then in FY 25, there's 5.3 million for Parks and Recreation, and that's the Sand Hill, work up at Sand Hill. Is that the 5 million you're talking about?
It is not secure.
It's not secure. Thank you. And I'm assuming there's a couple 8 mil Parks and Recreation out in 28 and 29. I'm assuming unsecured at this point.
Correct.
Okay, good. So that'll help when I sort of sum things up. How are estimates developed? Can someone to that? Does each department develop their own estimate? Or does everything go through Public Works? How does that work? And when we look at the estimates, are these, definitive, preliminary, more order of magnitude? How do we sort of get a feel for that?
I can speak to parks. Back in 2021, we hired a consultant, Bob Droll, who then went around to do the update to our parks growth plan, the Parks Recreation and Open Space Trails plan. So he and one of our staff, our lead staff, went to all our parks and reviewed the previous plan, which I believe was from 2012. And then reviewed what needed to be done, different ideas that we had in the parks plan from before, we do public outreach, what would you like to see, that kind of thing. And then what we know people have been contacting the county about. And then he put forth a document saying, these are the updates I recommend. And he gave us estimates on what he thought from his profession of what it would be. So we used those numbers when we put them into the CFP or CIP based on what we know is available maybe in the budget. So like for 2024, all we put in there was to do improvements to Latimer's Landing. Because we know to improve that dock situation is gonna be very expensive.
So the 2021 numbers, have they been escalated into 25, 4, 5, or 6? Has it been escalated back, or we just?
I don't think we used any escalation on it.
Use straight numbers. And when you talk, when the sub provided the information, did he define if they were preliminary or definitive or order of magnitude estimates?
I just think they were estimates at the time based on his knowledge and working with other projects that are, maybe similar.
Okay. And so Parks does their own estimates, and then who does the admin and county buildings? I'm assuming
That's facilities.
that's facilities. Okay, great.
They're definitely separate.
That's fine. I'm learning as we go. That's a good thing. Okay.
And for that one, I can tell you, back in 2012, so it's been a number of years, we hired Foster and Williams, who did a needs assessment. They came in, looked at all the buildings, provided a report with estimates at the time. And those ones, we use those numbers, but then we do escalate those. But again, they're just estimates based on, what we've known for similar projects, that kind of thing.
It's a parametric estimate based on a point in time, discrete.
Yeah, there's like, if it's a parametric, so that's more of a preliminary to Romney's in event, not definitive. And,
Right.
the real question then is, how is scope written down? Is it, do we have something that really defines what the scope is? When I look in here, this sort of, it's high level past some scope. That's fine, but I'm assuming there's something behind that that really says, okay, what do we do?
Like on Sand Hill, yes, because then we paid an additional 50,000 to have a consultant say, okay, if we want to go up and actually put this multi-purpose field in, we need a true scope of work and everything. And that's when we realized it was going to be $5.5 million. So when the board says, yes, we really want to do that, then we would go out and hire the consultant. And then they look at it and they work with staff. In that case, we work with public. And then they come up with their professional estimate.
Okay. So, all right, so this is how I would, so to sum that up, I guess, what I'm hearing is that the estimates are likely more preliminary to Ron White. That we have used 21 numbers, and it sounds like without escalation for most of the pros. As we talk about Latimer's Landing. Latimer's Landing, it's, that one stood out to me. It's something that's in our current year, and it's around $1 million even, and we're doing it in-house. And that just, I feel like if we know what we're doing, we should have, it's probably not exactly $1 million. I would expect a different number. But what I'm hearing is, it sounds like we have work to do, and we're going to go out and do work. And when we hit it, when we either get both all of it done, or we hit $1 million, we stop.
No, what that document, because we have $1 million budgeted in REIT 2 for capital improvements to parks. So what, and I've been talking with the administrator on, we need to hire an engineer who knows that kind of planning, because it's in the marine water. So that they can go and look at the project and then would have to hire them to give us a firm estimate. If it goes over the $1 million, then that's when we're gonna have to go to the commissions and say, we really want to do this, but all we know is we have $1 million. And then they would have to say, yes, we really want to get this done, so we'd have to look to other resources. I'm hoping it's not going to be $1 million, but we know, we didn't plan any other projects because we really don't know. And I'm afraid because of what it is and on rainwater, it's gonna be way higher than I want it to be.
I think anything to do with water is always expensive.
Well, so am I okay, that's my bad. I'm reading in-house funding, in-house execution.
Correct. We don't know of any grants that are available, so we just said, you know what,
Okay.
we're gonna do it, we're gonna have to pay for it.
So I misread this, so that's good, thank you.
No, not the staff is not able to do that.
Okay. So it sounds like we're getting engineer out, we'll do an assessment, some design if required.
Yep.
Put it out for bid, we'll figure out where we're at.
Yep.
Okay. So my only other comment, and so I would suggest for figure 1 and figure 2, this is just a presentation detail. When I look at funding revenue in figure 1, I look at SIP expenditures in figure 2, I made a false assumption in my first pass. I assumed the funding equaled the expenditures. They don't. The revenue from REAP 1, 2, and the sales tax is the 29 mil total. Then we have some salary, which leaves, I think, about 23 available. The exact number is in here. And SIP expenditures are around 62 million. I would just, I don't know, a bar graph maybe, Melissa, but something that very clearly says, look, the funding from these sources is inadequate to meet this need, but we have grants and et cetera. We have other ways to approach this. So that people understand that this isn't covering all the requirements.
That could be explained in the PowerPoint text. That also.
Yeah, there's
Bar
ways,
graphs, different ways there.
someone else can figure out how to, I just very quickly, as I looked at it, I misread it.
Well, but you were saying, there's clarification.
Yeah, no, it's just, well, some people see things pictorially, some people like to read charts, some people like to read text, and knowing we have all sorts of folks in our community, there's a lot of ways to put it out there, okay?
The pictures always,
Yeah.
Helps.
I'm the picture guy,
Yeah.
that and the chart.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
give me text, I'm in trouble. So, other than that, I'm gonna say I'm comfortable, and I'm comfortable from the following basis. One, we will review this in a year again, okay? And when I look at this, I realize we're 19 mil short if the grants don't come through. But almost 16.5 of that is in FYs 28 and 29, it's all in gross. So I'm looking at table 2.1. I'm sorry, 2.0 at the top of what is page 6 in the PDF, and it's numbered page 5. So you got the 8.447, the 8.113, and those out in 28 and 29. And then we have 5 million out in FY 25. We talked about that with Sand Hill currently unsecured. So that's somewhere around 22 mil. And we have a 19 mil gap. So if the grants don't come through, I'm sort of, the commissioners will have an opportunity to sit down and revisit. Do we do grant? Do we do loan? How do they want to address that? And particularly for the 28 and 29 work, we'll have at least 3 more years of opportunity to support that effort one way or another.
As long as it stays visible and maybe it gets addressed at the right time.
Yes.
I have a question. When I look at those charts, and I agree, they're challenging to get the picture.
Yeah.
But when I look at it, maybe I'm all wet here, but it looks like funding sources like for 2024 are 10.4 approx. And projects are, 13.9. We are missing.
You're not missing it, but the 6.4 on wastewater is all grant and that, okay, that's part of it already secured, so we're forward. So
What table are you looking at?
table 2 on
On
page.
page 4?
5.
Page 5.
Yeah, it starts on the bottom of page 4 and then it goes to the top of page 5. And that's actually page 6, 5 and 6 in the PDF. Page 1 in the PDF isn't numbered.
Right.
Again, that is the CIP, working draft 2. So,
I think that's correct.
Yeah, it is. Yes.
So you're making life kind of uncomfortable for certain people. By asking these questions. And-
Well, no, but if I was sitting up there
Mhm.
and thinking back to my Air Force days, I would look at this and say, okay, that's correct, my gap. We're off by $1 million, maybe 2.
Right.
But we have $1 million in, frankly, in Parks and Recreation, while it's slated, we really don't even have a contractor yet. And so at some point, we got, the folks who sit up there get the opportunity at some point to say, do we want to award or not? So there are some checkpoints along the way prior to awarding these contracts that they can do, okay, what are we really funding in the year? Okay, so that's one thought. And then as far as, when Prost is very critical to our community. It's our parks and recreation trails, et cetera. As you pointed out, there are some other considerations up in Belfair that need to be thought about. How we're pulling that into the comprehensive plan, or how we're doing or not doing it, again, thoughtfully. But I think we have, the key in Sandhill is, okay, where are we in the grant writing process? When do we expect to have some feedback on its viability? And that's not, I'm not looking for an answer. So that's not an answer for tonight. But at some point, we want to, and I'm sure those folks up there are going to be asking a similar question is, where are we with Sandhill?
Right, in other words, depending what comes down, we either be short or
Yeah.
okay. Depending how what gets picked or not picked. All we can say at this moment, or at least I think what you're saying is. If you do all the projects for 2024 and you look at all your funding sources to this point. You're short for this year. Now, that doesn't mean you pick all the projects, but it just means you're short, I'm sorry.
Well, as a commission, we are more or less pointing out, here's what we have found in our cursory review of the provided information. Bring it to the attention of whomever. And that's really about the extent of what we can do, at least in my understanding. Does anyone else have anything or different thoughts?
I can see how we can address it and approve it, through the process tonight. I think. We need to instill in board. As our advisement to the board that. We are seriously, one, we're short, that's one part. If we do all the projects we're looking at. 2. We seriously need to start looking. At the WACs and the requirements of, the RCWs and the Department of Commerce. In getting some of those components analyzed and brought in to the plan. I don't say that you have to do, 300-page plan like Shelton did, but I think. You have to understand what you have, like with Parks has a plan. From the standpoint, you understand what parks they have. What we don't know is what all the different improvements are needed and ongoing and what the maintenance and all that kind of thing is. But like take, I was using an example of Beards Cove, the water. I can't find anything that we know what's really there. And, as my questions I'm asking of Public Works. Obviously, they're making progress to the different pieces, but as an example. there's a report going to the Department of Health that says how much water you use, but it's not saying how much was, when I say used from the source meter, but not how much was consumed by the users. And therefore you can't tell if you got leaks, what your leakage is, or any number of things. So,
Okay, well, we haven't heard from Mike or Terry. So we're kind of curious as to what you guys' thoughts are. Putting you on the spot too, by the way.
Yeah, because this is my first meeting, I'm still trying to wrap my head around everything.
So what do you think?
Well, I don't know if I have any opinions yet.
Okay. You know, we're not gonna drag it out of you or anything like that, just, you know, just, what your thoughts are, just in general.
Well, if I understand the discussion, it sounds like we're a little bit short of funding, is that correct? On some of these improvement projects, or not? Okay.
Yeah.
yes and no, it depends which ones we're talking about.
Okay.
If you just take the whole package and say you're doing everything, then yes, you're short. Has the county ever done all that they said they were gonna do in a year? No. But that's not an excuse to not know where you are. That's one thing. You know, there's a lot of shortcomings, a lot of reanalyzing of things that need to occur on a lot of these facets of that make up the components of capital facilities. Oh, reminds me, I saw something in the facilities. And this was in the 2017 planning for the comp plan for buildings. And you'll appreciate this, Brad. Okay, at that point, they made the statement and analysis that they're basically processing about 5,000 cases a year with the facilities we have, you know, through the courts and the what have you. So the population was expected to grow from roughly 65,000 when that was done to about 82,000 at the end of the 2036 end of the comp plan. And they had planned to do 10,000 cases. So if that's the case, we don't want any more people coming to the county.
Coming to the what? Enough people coming to the what?
To the county. In other words, you have 5,000 cases going through the courts here with a population of 65,000. With 82,000, they said the requirement was that they're gonna need enough room and capacity to handle 10,000 cases, basically double.
Bringing the wrong people.
Good point. Okay, Bill, or I mean, Mike,
Sorry.
have you had your say?
Yes.
Just want to don't want to cut you off.
No, I'm fine. Like I said, I'm still, you know,
Yeah.
considering it's my first meeting, I'm still trying to absorb as much as I can, and you know, and still hear everything, because it's still a little bit difficult. And I'd be there in person, but I'm on the road traveling this week, so I'll certainly be live at the next meeting, or in person at the next meeting.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay, Terry, are you still there?
I am, and I don't have anything to add at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Let's see, and we've got a gentleman there, Miss Ophelia.
You're muted.
I'm unmuted now. Sorry about that. Just listening to the dialogue going back and forth.
So what do you think?
I've just been taking notes and conversing with Brad on the side here. I've been absent from the meetings and most of what's transpired over the last 3 months. As I shared with Brad, and I'll quickly just say I've been in and out of the ICU at St. Anthony's ER, and finally, after 3 months, just stabilized enough to start moving forward. So forgive me for the details here, but I've taken ample notes, and I guess as Brad mentioned, there's a vote to ask me to tender my resignation because of my absentees, and a lot of it I shared, I think, with Marissa. They were going to my junk email, and there's not much I can do when you're held up in the ICU at St. Anthony's. Being back at home is wonderful, enjoying a hot cup of coffee. And so at present, I enjoyed the dialogue going back and forth and what's transpired. But I think what's first on the agenda, has been mentioned in the last meeting that I missed. I think I might have missed up to 3, is calling for my resignation, first and foremost.
That would be a
I-
discussion between you and the county commissioners.
Well, I'd like to ask, I asked him this question privately in the chat, and I said I would like to ask the PAC here to rescind that request, given, and especially after seeing what he said, he'd been in the ICU and email going. So I'd like to ask the PAC. I think we can, since we made the motion, we can rescind it. Doesn't have to go to the commission.
Fortunately, the county commissioners have voted. As I understand, is that correct?
Yes.
The county commissioners have accepted our recommendation, Brad. So if you want to undo things, I strongly suggest you contact the county commissioners and have a private discussion.
Okay.
I'll
Uh,
do that with you, Tim.
Well, thank you, Brad. I'll take you up on that. I'm just
But,
getting my feet back underneath me, so.
To be honest with you guys, I am not at all conversant on what the procedure is here, other than we followed our bylaws. And we did what was necessary to do. And
Yeah.
I strongly, like I said, to have a chat with the 3 county commissioners.
Okay, no, I completely understand. You're well within the lanes of the recommendations and the votes, as I know it. If that's where it lays right now, I'll reach out to one, if not all, via text and maybe a phone call to be reinstated. But it's just unfortunate that this has happened. And you got to take care of your health first. And I missed several meetings, so it's my apologies to all of you, the entire team here, and the commissioners. So I'll humbly ask to be reinstated if the position of mine hasn't been already filled.
I'm sure it hasn't. Has it, Mr. Wilkerson? Mr.
Yeah.
Chairman?
Technically it has, but there is one available position. So after talking to the commissioners, they can either reappoint you or have you reapply. That's up to them.
Okay.
I think an ICU is a valid description, as long as you can,
Well,
as long
again,
as Ropelia can get his, I would say we could move to, I could make a motion to rescind our
Brad,
request.
it's a dead issue. We voted, the commissioners voted. And it's a discussion between Tim and the commissioners. It's out of our hands. And I wholeheartedly encourage you to do so, Brad. And Tim, you guys want to talk to him, go ahead. We're straying from our agenda, but anyway.
Yeah, we are, but that's because I checked into the meeting at like 1 minute before the hour, and I missed it. By the time I got it to work to hear the audio, you were already on the conflict of interest, so I missed the agenda. Did you have the vote to accept the agenda, the past meeting minutes?
Correct.
And accept the new agenda? They did that in about 3 minutes, so. rather quickly.
I mean, it's.
We're moving right along here.
Our agenda is pretty, I would say this, lean, thank you, Will.
So, I mean, moving forward, if one of us is not going to be there, you can simply send an email or make a phone call. And then it would be an excused absence.
well, actually,
Why don't I
it's
not take up any?
bylaws.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
You're not thinking about that.
Agreed, I'm just. Again, this is beyond what we need to discuss, so.
Yeah, no, I don't want to take up any more time of the committee advisory board here. Brad, I thank you for your support. I definitely will reach out and thank you for having me at this meeting. I'm glad to be a participant.
You're a
And I'll
county
see what I can
resident.
do on my end. So I appreciate it, gentlemen. Ladies too, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, so everyone has had their say in the, item and topic. So what do we want to do now, guys? And Terry and staff?
Well, we're coming up
Well-
on the hour. We've
Call for the
gone
question.
for- Yeah.
Call for the question for our three choices.
All right, so the question's been called. All those in favor of, ceasing debate? Please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so we're gonna call the question. Who wants to,
Make the motion.
I'll make the motion. I'm a motion that we accept working draft 2, Appendix A, SIP 2024 to 2029 PDF as forwarded dated 15 January 2024 revision as is for the recommendation of approval.
No additional requirements.
No, I mean, no, I mean, I would hope we modify the funding grasp, but I'm not gonna make that a requirement. And you know, staff will do what staff needs to do.
I second.
hey, it's
Carl,
been
second.
seconded, point of privilege for the chair here, so we're gonna be voting to approve this with some recommendations, caveats, or something like that?
We can, you know, the
Didn't hear recommendations.
debate ceased, but you've asked the question.
No, once
Yeah. Yeah.
we put it on the floor.
Yeah, no,
we can talk
I
some
mean,
more, guys, if you want.
What I'm hearing, and please chime in and correct me, okay? So I look at you, but they can't hear me, so I guess what I'm hearing is, okay, we're short 2 million, Jeff, for the year, and another 2 in 25. We also, in my experience in other government organizations, similar, what we plan to do and what we actually execute are 2 different numbers, and normally the execution is a little behind the plan. We're normally a little optimistic on that plan. So with that, and recognizing there's some grants that are TBD, particularly in 25 for Sandhill, and frankly, if that doesn't come through, then the 3 commissioners have a $5 million question to address, not a couple. I frankly would expect, my expectation is that we're gonna get 324 and some work will have moved to the right. It'll blend into 25. And frankly, that funding will be available for what we actually can do. That's a guess at this point. I don't, but that's sort of what my experience would tell me. And given that, you know, a lot of these contractual expenditures need to come back to this room and be presented to the commissioners to say, yes, go fund it. Then they're gonna have the opportunity to say, is the funding really there, or do they want to delay the work? They'll have that check and balancing. Am I understanding this
Yeah,
right?
we can
Okay,
never
good.
go forward unless the board.
Okay,
says
good.
do
So
it.
there's a check and a balance in this. So with that, I guess my gut call is let departments move forward. You know, the wastewater at the top is, I believe, repair Belfair. The county and city admin buildings is a variety of separate pieces, add the 2.5. Mr. McNeary, I suspect, is sort of key into which ones get funded, in what order.
He would advise.
He would
commission.
advise
So
the
he's
board,
the
okay.
final say.
So he'd be involved. You got $6 million in one line item. on the stormwater, and you got $1 million in parks and recreation, frankly, with scope that we have yet to define. So I'm sort of thinking it's gonna work out for 24, we're gonna actually do less than this plan,
Right.
and it will just bleed over to 25. That's why I'm comfortable moving forward, knowing that we'll also revisit this. And I guess with that, there is one other thing, right up front, literally in the introduction, in the second, right after your introduction, it says criteria for inclusion. It says the county is currently not set specific criteria for inclusion in this project funding appendix. This topic should be discussed during capital facilities element periodic update and prior to the next annual update. So I think there's a piece here that we're going to come back to. That's why I say move forward and get it approved and let's get some work going.
So the motion is basically recommend to the county commissioners acceptance of the 6-year funding plan for capital facilities.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, there's a lot of hope.
No, I understand. Is there any way to rope you into at least making this statement to try to get it in compliance with the WAC?
Yeah, I mean, if you can tack onto my motion as long as that's legal.
Why don't we write it out?
So I have a question here. How are we not in compliance? Because we are in. So I know the guidebook you're talking about, Jeff.
Yes.
And so that guidebook is for jurisdictions that have a lot of staff, a lot of money. And there's a specific chapter in there, chapter 6, that talks about smaller jurisdictions that have very little staff, very little financing staff. And it has specific outline for those types of jurisdictions and what they should have at minimum.
Okay, so does the county feel that they've met that?
So we are working on our capital. Now, the thing is though, other things that you mentioned
Yeah.
are in the capital facilities element, not the CIP. So, and that is something I've already mentioned that I'm bringing back to you guys that's
Right.
improved.
Yeah,
So I just want to let you know that we aren't necessarily out of compliance with the WAC.
but that's not the question I asked. The
You-
question I'm asking is, do you, in your humble opinion, that's all it can be,
Mhm.
because I haven't looked at all the counties and I haven't looked at all, I don't have all 113 pages in my head.
Mhm.
Do you, as a planning department, feel that the county's in compliance with that, what you mentioned there in chapter 6, as far as the CIPs go?
The current adopted one. Current capital facilities
Yes.
element. To a very basic level, yes.
Okay. I'll leave it at that.
And I'll have to say, but, this is the CIP, this is the financing portion of it.
Okay.
So, we will be working on the capital facilities element to make it better.
Okay.
But I don't necessarily, we've never been told by Commerce that we are out of compliance. So I have to go by that because the last current adopted one, we sent it to Commerce and we were never given anything saying we were out of compliance. So I have to go by that information that I've gotten from the state. Could it be better? Yes, and that's what I'm trying to do, and I'm hoping you guys will help me with that.
So you haven't been spanked, that means you must be doing something good.
I have to go by that,
The only problem is that I read a WAC or I read an RCW. And granted, there's some issues with chapter 6 and so I don't have that all in my head. But to me, regardless of whether they get back to you and tell you yes or no, if there are elements that we're not meeting on WAC, then, we're falling short regardless of whether,
I can't say for sure that we are not
That's fine.
leaving elements of whack though with the,
Leave it
the
out.
basic, but.
It's an issue for them. I don't have a
So,
problem.
Will, do you want to restate your motion?
Sure.
Did you write it, type it in?
Well, no, all I'm doing is reading the,
All right.
I'm just making this up live. I'm just looking at the PowerPoint for the references. So, motion to approve,
It's recommend approval.
I'm sorry, recommend approval of chapter 6, capital facilities, appendix A draft. Rev 15 January 2024, and it's titled Working Draft to Appendix A, Civ 2024 to 2029.
That's very specific.
That's what.
You're gonna have to provide, staff with. the actual
So
text.
but fine is,
I have the.
Okay.
it's just,
It's recommending approval.
it's the title of the PDF and the stuff in the bottom
Okay.
of the page.
All right, so has everyone got the gist of the motion text?
Yes.
So it's been moved and seconded. We've had an additional discussion. Hearing no more, we're gonna go to the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
I,
Those
Aye.
opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, folks, and it makes somebody's life happy, at least for the moment.
I did want to mention one other thing.
Oh,
So, I know you guys have all these recommendations, I know there's, you do have questions about what's in the worksheets for the projects, and a lot of the times, we come here and we don't exactly know why one project is chosen over another. And in our last meeting, we talked about having that project matrix, so we have more of an idea of why the departments chose the projects they did over maybe other ones that were in the capital facilities element or in the comprehensive plan. So my, I think I mentioned it before about bringing Commerce's example of the matrix and what they suggest as questions for departments to look at when they go to make, to fill out their project worksheets. I wanted to bring that to you just to get an initial idea from you guys, what questions would help you when to be answered by the departments. So when we come back to CIP again, you can see those answers from the departments, like what would help you understand why they're choosing which projects over and the justification for it better. So my idea was to bring that matrix back for you guys to kind of look at and have an opinion about. And we had already started the work with the departments, kind of asking them what questions would help in an evaluation to countywide for the departments for the capital facilities. And we still need to figure that out because, different departments choose projects for different reasons. Some have to meet grant requirements, and that may not be the same situation for other departments. So, but I would like to get ideas from you guys, what questions you would like to see answered, what would help you in this, right, so. And that I was thinking about bringing in March, just like a little work session or something that we can kind of look at
Okay.
that. So,
I know, personally, I know if I looked at a couple other system plans, then I could look at how they're constructing the executive summary. What I was seeing there does allow me as a citizen to figure out why different things are picked in the big picture, not the detail, but the big picture. And I think through some of that, we could get an idea of what that matrix may or may not include.
can you send an example?
Oh, I'll get you.
Okay.
You know me.
Okay.
That's an open invitation,
Okay.
ask any day.
question, who is that speaking that's not in the camera? And how many people? I see
It
5
it was
people. in
Jeff.
the
He was
camera.
hiding.
Marissa,
Marissa.
Loretta?
Marissa,
Marissa, okay.
yes.
I thought now,
Thank you.
who's the
Thank
person,
you,
Have a nice
Diane.
who's the person going out the door now? So I know who's. We speaking, we, those of us that are communicating remotely are logged in, I can see the names, but I don't know who. I assume the blue shirt is Mr. Harris. And then Jeff, on the right, not in the camera. Let me see if I close my chat.
Oh, okay, yeah, there.
And then, the person that went out the door just in the beige, was that, and you in the black sitting against the wall with the orange coat or orange bag.
Hannah's the one who left, and Loretta is still here.
You are Loretta?
Loretta.
Yeah, that I talked with last Wednesday.
Yep.
Okay, so, because we're at a disadvantage when Marissa, you're anonymous, because we cannot see you. You're
I
you're
know,
logged in. You're
She is
logged in, but
Imperial voice.
so. And who is the
Well,
person
it
in
sounds
the,
like we pretty much wrapped everything up.
who was the person in the brown that walked out?
All right,
Might
so it's
not.
been moved to adjourn, have a second.
Second.
It's been seconded, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay, motion carries, adjourned. Thank you,
See ya.
guys.